My 9-year-old had been waiting for weeks for our family trip to Hawaii, but 2 days before the flight my dad showed up. "We decided you won't be coming. Your brother's kids don't want to see you," he said, holding my bank card in his hand. And then I said this. "Hey. My name is Jolene, I'm 34, I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work as a dental hygienist. I have a 9-year-old daughter named Lily who is my entire world. And I'm here because I need to tell someone this story because if I keep it inside any longer I might actually lose my mind." 3 weeks before all of this happened, my mom Patricia called me and said the whole family was doing a trip to Hawaii. My parents, my older brother Craig, his wife Dawn, their 2 boys Hunter and Mason, and me and Lily. Sounded amazing. It sounded like exactly what we needed, honestly, because the year before I'd gone through a really ugly divorce from Lily's dad Todd, and my daughter had started getting quiet. Not wanting to go to birthday parties. Her therapist said she needed something to look forward to. So when Mom brought up Hawaii I thought, this is it. This is the thing that's going to make my kids smile again. And then Craig, my brother, who is 38 and somehow always broke despite making good money in car sales. Craig drops a message in the family group chat saying he's a little tight this month, and could someone front the costs? And before I could even respond, my mom called me privately. "Jolene, honey, you're the most responsible one. Could you just put everything on your card? Everyone will pay you back." So I did. Because that's my role in this family. I'm the one who always picks up the tab, who drives 2 hours for every holiday, who sends real birthday gifts and gets a late text back saying HBD. Any of you know what that feels like? Being the dependable one that everyone depends on but nobody actually appreciates? I booked flights for all 8 of us. I booked the resort in Maui for 5 nights. Rental car deposit. The total came out to just under $11,000. My money. My card. And Lily? Oh my gosh, that child was on a whole other level of excited. She made a countdown chain out of construction paper. You know those little loops you tear off each day? 21 of them hanging from her bedroom door. Every single morning she'd rip one off and come running. "Mom. 14 more days." She printed pictures of sea turtles and taped them to our fridge. She picked out a new swimsuit, bright yellow with little pineapples. She found a YouTube channel that teaches Hawaiian words and started walking around the apartment going, "Aloha. Mahalo." It was the happiest I'd seen her in months. Meanwhile, the family group chat was buzzing. Dawn was posting links to snorkeling tours. My dad Richard sent a photo of new sandals he bought. My mom made an actual Google Doc with restaurant recommendations. Everyone was excited. Everything was perfect. And then 2 days before the flight at 7 in the evening my doorbell rang. It was my dad. Alone. No Mom. No Craig. He wasn't smiling. He had his hands jammed in his jacket pockets and he was doing that thing he does when he's uncomfortable, rocking back and forth on his heels, not making eye contact. "Hey Dad, what's up?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out my bank card. My actual bank card that I had given to my mom weeks earlier so she could handle the bookings. He held it out to me like he was returning a borrowed screwdriver. "We decided you won't be coming," he said. "Your brother's kids don't want to see you." I laughed. I genuinely laughed because I thought it was a joke. My dad has the worst sense of humor on the planet and I figured this was some kind of weird bit. But he wasn't laughing. "Dad. What are you talking about?" Hunter told Craig that Lily makes him uncomfortable. Mason doesn't like being around her either. So Craig and Dawn think it's best if you two sit this one out. I just stood there holding my bank card and I swear the floor dropped out from under me. Not my daughter. Say whatever you want about me, I can take it, but do not come after my 9-year-old child who has never done a single thing to anyone. Hunter is 12 and spends every family gathering glued to his iPad ignoring the world. Mason literally threw a dinner roll at Lily's head last Thanksgiving and Dawn just laughed it off. But sure. My kid is the problem. "And you agreed to this?" I said. My dad shrugged. He actually shrugged. "It's easier this way, Jolene. You know how Craig gets." "Oh, I know how Craig gets." Craig gets whatever Craig wants because Craig throws a tantrum when he doesn't, and my parents have been folding for him since we were children. Craig failed a class? Teacher's fault. Craig got fired? Boss had it out for him. Craig's kids are acting terrible? Must be someone else's child causing it. And that someone is always Lily. Always me. Dad. I paid for the entire trip. And we appreciate that. We really do. So you're taking my $11,000 and telling me I can't come on the vacation I paid for? He put his hands back in his pockets. Don't make this into a big thing. Don't make this into a big thing. $11,000. My daughter's countdown chain with 3 loops left. 2 weeks I took off work, which in my field is not easy to arrange. Lily's little yellow pineapple swimsuit. And I should not make it a big thing. I took the card out of his hand. I looked him right in the face. My dad. The man who taught me to ride a bike. Who used to call me his little sunshine. who once drove 4 hours through a snowstorm to bring me soup when I was sick in college. That man was standing on my porch telling me my daughter wasn't wanted. Get off my porch, I said. Jolene. Get off my porch, Dad. He left. I closed the door, walked to the kitchen, sat down on the floor and cried harder than I cried during my entire divorce. Because Todd walking out on our marriage was one thing. But your own parents choosing your brother over you, choosing his comfort over your daughter, while spending your money to do it. That hits different. That one doesn't just hurt your feelings. That one lives in your bones. Lily came padding out of her room in her sea turtle pajamas. She saw me on the floor and sat right down next to me and put her little hand on my arm. Mommy, are you okay? Yeah, baby. Just a rough day at work. It's okay, Mom. Hawaii is in 2 days. Everything will be better in Hawaii. I almost shattered into 1,000 pieces right there. But I held it together. Because here's what my family doesn't understand about me. Yes, I cry. Yes, I feel things deeply. But I am not someone you can just steamroll and expect to stay down. I take my minute on the kitchen floor. And then I get up. And when I get up, I make phone calls. That night, after Lily was asleep, I called my friend Marcus. Marcus and I went to college together. He's a civil litigation attorney at a mid-size firm downtown and one of the best people I've ever known. We're the kind of friends who text each other memes at midnight and do brunch every other Sunday. He helped me through some of the legal side of my divorce. Never charged me a cent even though I tried to pay him. He picked up on the second ring. Joe? Everything okay? I told him all of it. The trip, the money, my dad at the door, what he said about Lily. Everything. There was a long silence. How much did you pay? He asked. Almost 11,000. And they're still going on the trip? They fly out Thursday. Joe. And his voice shifted into that steady, careful tone he uses when he stops being my friend and starts being a lawyer. This isn't just a family disagreement. You paid for services you're being excluded from. There are real legal options here. Legal options. Against my own father. Against anyone who takes your money and doesn't deliver what was promised. Family doesn't change that. I sat with it. It felt terrifying and heavy and, I'm being honest, a tiny bit thrilling all at the same time. But then I looked down the hallway at Lily's countdown chain hanging from her door, those last 3 little paper loops, and something shifted inside me. Tell me what I need to do. Marcus told me we'd talk in the morning. He said don't delete a single text, don't cancel anything, and do not contact my family until we spoke again. Screenshot everything, he said. The group chat, the receipts, every confirmation email, every charge. All of it. I was up until 2 in the morning saving everything into a folder on my laptop. I labeled it, Hawaii. I was terrified. Because once you take legal action against your own parents, you can't undo that. That door doesn't close quietly. And I didn't know if I was brave enough to walk through it. But then I thought about Lily's paper chain. Her pineapple swimsuit. My dad's shrug. Yeah. I was brave enough. Because the very next morning, Marcus showed up at my apartment with 2 coffees, a legal pad, and a look on his face that told me he'd been up all night too. And what he laid out on my kitchen table was something my family absolutely never expected was coming. But before I get into that, I need to tell you what my mother did when she realized I wasn't going to just quietly disappear and let them enjoy their vacation in peace. Because what came out of that woman's mouth honestly still keeps me up at night. So the morning after my dad showed up on my porch, I'm sitting at my kitchen table with 2 cold coffees and a legal pad full of Marcus's handwriting. Lily is at school. And Marcus is across from me explaining my options like he's done this 100 times, which honestly he probably has, just not for someone he actually cares about. You have 2 paths here, he said. Path 1, you contact your family, ask for the money back and hope they do the right thing. Path 2, if they refuse, we file a civil claim for recovery of the funds. And you think they'll refuse? He gave me this look. Not judgmental, not pitying, just honest. Joe. They're flying out tomorrow on your dime and told your 9-year-old she isn't welcome. What do you think? Fair point. But Marcus said we had to try the first path before the second one. Legally it looks better if you can show you made a good faith effort to resolve things privately. So he helped me draft a text message to my mom. Not emotional, not angry, just clear and direct. Something like, I'm paraphrasing because I've looked at this text so many times the words are burned into my brain. Since Dad informed me that Lily and I are no longer included in the Hawaii trip, I'm requesting a full refund of the $10,800 I paid for flights, accommodations, and the car rental. I'd like this resolved within 14 days. I hit send. My hands were shaking. And you want to know how long it took for my mom to respond? 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and Patricia had typed out a novel. And when I say novel, I mean this woman wrote me a message so long I had to scroll 3 times. The gist of it? Oh, you're going to love this. She said, and I am not exaggerating, that the money I spent was a gift to the family. That I had offered willingly, and that asking for it back was incredibly selfish and hurtful. She said I was ruining what was supposed to be a beautiful family memory, and that I should be ashamed of myself for putting a price tag on family. A price tag on family. The family that just uninvited me. Do you see the logic here? Because I don't. I genuinely don't. You take my money, you kick me out, and then when I ask for it back, I'm the selfish one? Please, somebody make it make sense. But she wasn't done. Oh no. Patricia was just warming up. She said that Craig and Dawn had every right to protect their children's emotional well-being, and that if Lily made Hunter and Mason uncomfortable, maybe I should look inward as a mother instead of pointing fingers. Look inward as a mother. My mom said that to me. About my daughter who literally makes friendship bracelets for kids she barely knows. The same Lily who cried last month because she accidentally stepped on an ant. That child is apparently an emotional threat to two boys who are bigger than her and once put gum in her hair at a family barbecue. But your mom. I'll look inward. I showed Marcus the messages. He read them twice without saying a word, then looked up at me and said, "Screenshot all of this. We're going with path 2. And honestly, I felt relieved. Because now I didn't have to feel guilty about it. I gave them a chance. They didn't just say no, they insulted me while saying no. There's a difference. Now here's where it gets complicated, and I need to be real with you because this is the part that cost me sleep for weeks. Filing a legal claim against your parents is not just a legal decision. It's a personal one. It's waking up at 3 in the morning and staring at the ceiling thinking, am I really doing this? It's looking at old family photos on your phone and wondering if you'll ever be in one again. It's Lily asking, when are we seeing Grandma and Grandpa? And not knowing what to say. But I also kept coming back to the same thought. If a stranger took $11,000 from me and then told me I wasn't welcome to the thing I paid for, would I hesitate to take legal action? No. Not for 1 second. So why should my dad get a pass just because we share DNA? Marcus filed the claim on a Monday. Small claims court in Franklin County, Ohio. And before anyone asks, yes, Marcus handled it for me, and yes, there's a limit for small claims in Ohio, but Marcus structured it properly and we were within range once we accounted for what was recoverable. He didn't charge me. I told him 100 times I'd pay him and he kept saying, buy me brunch for the next year and we're even. That man. Honestly. But we'll come back to that. So the paperwork went through. And do you know how my family found out? Not through me. Not through a phone call or a heads up or a courtesy text. They found out because my dad got served. At his house. On a Wednesday afternoon. And that's when the real chaos started. My phone exploded. And I mean exploded. Craig called me 6 times in 20 minutes. Dawn sent me a text that just said, are you serious right now? My mom left me a voicemail that was 3 minutes of crying and saying I had destroyed this family. My dad didn't call. My dad texted me 2 words. Real classy. Real classy. From the man who showed up at my door and told my daughter she wasn't wanted. Let's talk about class. I didn't respond to any of them. Marcus told me not to, and honestly I didn't trust myself to say anything that wouldn't make things worse. So I just let my phone buzz on the counter and I went and picked Lily up from school and we got ice cream and I watched her eat a waffle cone with sprinkles and tried to pretend my entire family wasn't falling apart around me. But here's the thing nobody tells you about standing up for yourself in a family like mine. The person who finally pushes back is always the one who gets blamed for breaking everything. Not the people who did the actual damage. Not Craig for being a selfish brat his entire life. Not my parents for enabling him. Not Dawn for raising kids who are mean to my daughter and then acting like Lily's the problem. No, it's me. Jolene. The one who had the audacity to say, actually that's not okay. Do you think I was wrong for filing? Be honest. Because I asked myself that question every single day. There was one person though who didn't think I was wrong. My cousin Reese. Reese is 31, lives in Cincinnati, and she's the only person on my dad's side of the family who has ever treated me like an actual human being. We're not super close. We see each other maybe twice a year, but she's always been real with me and I've always respected her for that. Reese called me 2 days after my dad got served. She'd heard about it through the family grapevine, which in my family works faster than the internet. Joe, she said, I just want you to know I think what they did to you is disgusting. And I think you're doing the right thing. I cried. Of course I cried. Because when your whole family is telling you you're the villain, hearing one single person say, no you're not, feels like someone throwing you a rope when you're drowning. Reese also told me something I didn't know. Apparently while they were in Hawaii, yes they still went on my money, have I mentioned that? Craig had been posting photos all over social media. The beach, the resort pool, sunset dinners, the boys boogie boarding. And in one of the photos, you could clearly see my mom in the background holding a cocktail, laughing, having the time of her life. while I was home in Columbus explaining to my 9-year-old why we weren't on the trip she'd been counting down to for 3 weeks. I hadn't looked at any of their social media. Marcus told me not to, and I'd actually unfollowed all of them. But Reese sent me screenshots. And I don't know why I looked. I should not have looked. But I did. And there was one photo that absolutely gutted me. It was Mason, Craig's 10-year-old, in the pool wearing a snorkel mask doing a thumbs up. And he was wearing a bright yellow swimsuit. Not exactly the same as Lily's pineapple one, but close enough in color that my vision went blurry. My kid should have been in that pool. My kid earned that pool. My money paid for that pool. And instead she was sitting in our apartment in Ohio watching videos of sea turtles on my phone because that was the closest she was going to get to the ocean that spring. I saved every one of those social media screenshots. Marcus said they'd be useful. Evidence that the trip occurred as planned, fully funded by me without me. No. I need to tell you about what happened at work because this is where things got kind of humiliating. I had told everyone, my coworkers, my boss Angela, my patients, that I was going to Hawaii. I'd been so excited about it. Shonda, who works the front desk, had even given Lily a little travel journal as a going-away present. So when I showed up to work the following Monday, not tan, not relaxed, definitely not in Hawaii, people had questions. I thought you were gone for 2 weeks? Angela said. And I had to explain. Not the whole thing but enough. Family stuff. Trip got cancelled. And Angela, bless her, didn't push. But Shonda knew me well enough to corner me in the break room later and say, what actually happened? So I told her. And Shonda, who is 6'1" and has zero patience for nonsense, looked at me and said, Jolene Marie, if you don't take your father to court I will drive to his house myself. Between Shonda and Marcus and Reese, I had exactly 3 people in my corner. 3. Out of everyone I know. But you know what? 3 was enough. The court date got scheduled for about 2 months out. And those 2 months were some of the loneliest weeks of my life. My phone, which used to light up with messages from the family group chat, was completely silent. My mom didn't call. My dad didn't call. Craig obviously didn't call. It was like I had died and they'd all just moved on. Lily noticed. Kids notice everything. She asked me one night at dinner, Mom, how come Grandma doesn't call anymore? What do you even say to that? I told her Grandma was busy. I know that's not great. I know I should have been more honest. But she's 9. She doesn't need to carry this. Not yet. The one bright spot, and I mean the only bright spot besides Lily, was Marcus. He started coming over more. Not just for case stuff but just to hang out. He'd bring takeout and help Lily with her homework. He taught her how to play chess. Badly because Marcus is terrible at chess, but Lily thought it was hilarious watching him lose to a 9-year-old. One night after Lily went to bed we were sitting on my couch going over some paperwork and he said something that stuck with me. You know, Joe, most people would have just let this go. Most people don't have a lawyer for a best friend. I'm serious. What you're doing takes guts. Lily's lucky to have you. And the way he said it, I don't know. Something shifted. Not dramatically, not like in the movies. Just this quiet, warm thing between us that hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had been there for a while and I just hadn't noticed because I was too busy being the family doormat to pay attention to the people who actually showed up for me. But I didn't have time to think about that. Because the court date was coming. And my family? They were about to do something that made everything 10 times worse. Because about 3 weeks before the hearing I got a letter. Not from my dad's lawyer, although he had gotten one by then. No. This letter was from Craig. A handwritten letter which Craig has not sent anyone since probably 3rd grade. And what he wrote in that letter was so unbelievably manipulative and so perfectly Craig that when I read it to Marcus actually laughed out loud and said, "Is he serious?" Oh, he was serious. And what he was asking me to do. I still can't believe he had the nerve. But I'll get into that. Because that letter set off a chain of events that I genuinely did not see coming. And by the end of it my life looked completely different than I ever imagined it would. Craig's letter. Sunday morning, Lily at Todd's, me on the couch in pajamas eating cereal. I grabbed the mail and there it is. 2 pages in Craig's awful handwriting. The highlights. He's disappointed in the woman I've become. I'm tearing the family apart over money. Hunter and Mason are traumatized. And the grand finale. If I drop the lawsuit he'll consider letting Lily come to Mason's birthday party. Consider. Lily doesn't even like Mason. She told me once, Mom, Mason smells like old cheese and he's mean. My kid has better judgment than this entire family. I read it to Marcus over the phone. Dead silence, then he just burst out laughing. Joe, let me frame this for my office. I laughed too. Because at some point the audacity becomes comedy. But that letter told me something, they were scared. Marcus said, people don't write letters like this when they think they'll win. The morning of the hearing I almost threw up. Hadn't slept. Stress-eaten an entire sleeve of Oreos at midnight. Marcus picked me up in a suit which I'd never seen on him before. He looked really good. Unhelpful thought on the morning of a court case against your father, but my brain has terrible timing. At the courthouse, there they were. My dad looking miserable. My mom clutching her purse like a life raft. Craig in a too-tight suit doing his tough guy face. Their lawyer Phil looked like he'd passed the bar 20 minutes ago. Marcus presented everything. Receipts, statements, booking confirmations, the group chat, the social media photos from Hawaii. All of it. Phil tried arguing the money was a gift. And honestly, my heart was pounding because I didn't have a signed contract. I just trusted my family. But Marcus had the text. My mom wrote, "Everyone will settle up after the trip." Craig asked someone to front the costs. Front. Not gift. That word did heavy lifting. The judge asked my dad directly, "Was there an understanding of reimbursement?" My dad stared at the table. "She offered to help." "That wasn't my question," the judge said. Long pause. Then quietly, "Yes. There was." Full ruling in my favor. $11,000. 60 days. I didn't celebrate. I felt hollow. Because winning meant watching my father admit under oath that he took my money and cut me out anyway. Marcus drove me home. In the parking lot he said, "You did the right thing, Joe." Then why does it feel awful? Because doing the right thing and feeling good aren't always the same thing. I looked at him. This man who spent months showing up for me, who taught my kid chess, who never once made me feel crazy for wanting my own money back. "Marcus, why are you doing all this?" Quiet. Then, "Because someone should. And because I want to." 6 words. After a year of being told I was too much, too selfish, too dramatic, someone said I want to. We didn't rush anything. But over the months things shifted. Brunch became dinners. Dinners became Lily asking, "Is Marcus coming over tonight?" One day she said, "Mom, I think Marcus should just live here." Nearly choked on my water. They paid. Not willingly. Mom sent a check with no note. Dad covered the biggest share. Craig sent his late in 2 installments because Craig has never done anything on time in his life. Then silence. Total silence. No calls, no texts. Mom didn't call on Lily's birthday. Craig blocked me everywhere. We stopped existing to them. It hurt. But Lily gained something better. Stability. A home where nobody called her unwanted. Marcus at her school play, front row, clapping like she'd won an Oscar. 8 months later he proposed. In the kitchen making pancakes, the only thing he can cook. Ring in one hand, flower on his shirt. "Joe, I've been carrying this for 3 weeks. Every moment with you is the right moment. Marry me before I burn these pancakes." Lily screamed so loud the neighbors knocked. I said yes. Pancakes burned. We ordered pizza. Perfect. One last thing. A year later Reese called. She'd overheard something at a family barbecue. Turns out Hunter and Mason hadn't been uncomfortable around Lily. They'd been bullying her. Calling her names at family events. Telling her the divorce was her fault. Mason told my daughter her mom was the family loser. My baby carried that alone. He never told me. He just went quiet. And instead of anyone protecting her, my family made her the problem. I wanted to scream. But by then we were free. Lily was happy. She had real friends, Marcus, me. Chasing people who hurt you is the opposite of peace. That was 2 years ago. Lily is 11 now. She's loud again. Joined the swim team, which feels poetic since she never got Hawaii. Marcus and I married at the courthouse. Lily as our witness. Shonda cried more than everyone combined. Reese sent flowers. My family is still silent. And I'm okay with that. Not every story ends with a reunion. Sometimes it just ends with calm. I spent 32 years trying to earn my place in this family. Turns out I already had one. It just looked different. A man with flour on his shirt. A coworker who always had my back. A cousin who told me the truth. And a little girl who taught herself Hawaiian words because she believed good things were coming. He was right. If you made it this far, thank you. If this meant something to you, I'd love a like. And if you would have done something differently, tell me in the comments. I want to hear it. The best part of sharing your story is finding out you're not alone. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves first. You're allowed to.